ain't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Eevee and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. All right, today's video, we're going to be talking about Immortal Thor number 7 and 8, written by Al Ewing, with Martin Coccolo on art for Immortal Thor number 7, and Ibrahim Roberson on art for Immortal Thor number 8, with color on both issues by Matthew Wilson. This issue, Thor and Loki come face to face with the trials of Utgard Loki that go somewhat the way that the original Norse tale goes. The illusions of the original trial are still in place, but this time with a little bit of a twist. In the original tale, Thor is tested by attempting to drain a horn of mead, and just like this one, Thor isn't drinking simple mead, but Utgard Loki has replaced the mead with the literal ocean, making it so Thor would never be able to consume all of it. Loki, in an attempt at an eating contest, comes face to face with Loki, who consumed the entire table and food with it, but not because he's a bottomless pit of a man, but because Loki is actually a blazing inferno. The food wasn't eaten, it was burned away by fire before Loki even had a chance. And Loki's famous foot race with Hugi doesn't happen in this issue, at least not with Hugi as in the original tale, something Loki takes notice of as they help Thor revisit this famous Norse myth. Truth is, the original tale included another character as well, but Shalva is not included here. What happens here is Loki comes face to face with a different challenger, Lucky. But Lucky isn't a person. Lucky is mere thought itself, and more specifically, Loki's own thoughts, and even Loki himself can't outrace his own mind. Thor also comes face to face with the crone, who he must wrestle and force to yield, and in the original tale, the crone is undefeated and Thor cannot get an angle on her, and she overpowers him easily. But in the original tale, it was in fact old age Thor was fighting, but in this tale, it's actually death herself, a being no god is going to bring to heel. And the cat Thor was challenged to lift in the original tale, not an actual cat at all, but Jormungandr, the world serpent, the very serpent who ends Thor at Ragnarok. But those weren't the only reveals, as we later learn in this issue, similar to the original tale, that the Screamer that we met in issue number 6 was also Utgard Loki as well. And when Thor tried to cleave his head in two, it wasn't Screamer's head he struck, but an actual mountain Utgard Loki had placed in front of himself. And the knot to the food bag Screamer gave to Thor was the thread of eternity's fate, something no one, not even a god, especially Thor, can undo. But one significant difference in this tale versus the original version is that while in the old myth, Utgard Loki, once he's had his fun, believes that neither he or Thor will ever cross paths again, and even muses that it's for the best that they don't. Here, Utgard Loki makes a promise, one that they will meet again, and next time it will not be mere illusions Thor contends with. He mentions the wheel of fate turning, and as we discussed before in previous videos, Gaia is about to unleash Utgard Loki, because the seasons have come and gone, and while Midgard was allowed to see its spring and summer, winter has come at last. And this would be bad because Utgard Loki is a reality warping god on a level Thor cannot contend with, especially not by himself. And even with help, Utgard Loki's ability to create illusions and move the world around himself with a simple thought is the sort of stuff that we typically call tournament banned. He's just that unfair, but reminiscing about his first encounter with Utgard Loki has Thor thinking, if there's an Utgard Thor and an Utgard Loki, there must be other Utgard versions of themselves. So what if there's an Utgard Odin? a question that is immediately answered as we see him at the end of issue number 7, a giant of a man, long and gray-haired, and not with a pair of ravens, but a single giant eagle flying alongside him. We don't get to spend any time with this character in issue number 8. As a matter of fact, he never shows up at any particular point in time. However, I do have a feeling we'll be seeing him very soon, and maybe even potentially some other Utgard versions of the rest of the Asgardians. All in all, to find the answers, Thor must seek out the one person who has those very answers, and that's his mother, Gaia. But when he finds her in Immortal Thor number 8, she is not the woman he remembers. As a matter of fact, she's not the version we might remember. Thor finds a version of his mother who seems more like an Utgard Gaia than the Gaia we're more familiar with. Even the Gaia we saw recently in Immortal Thor number 1, as well as recent issues of X-Men Unlimited, this Gaia is not a brunette-haired fair maiden. She's something more akin to a swamp hag, and she has no time for Thor's questioning, reminding him he is not her only child, and even among all of her children, he is the least among them. Which is interesting considering some stuff that comes up later, but I digress. The god of thunder, king of Asgard, all-father, and avenger, and yet he is the lesser of her children. It will actually make sense once you consider who she's comparing him to. And that is because she is comparing him to her child, Atum, otherwise known as Amon-Ra, who was powerful enough to solo the elder gods of the Marvel Comics universe, and once he did so, became a whole problem as he turned into the Demogorge, the God Eater, a being capable of consuming literally any god he comes into contact with. He has been an entire problem for characters like Thor in the past, and while we're reintroduced to the Demogorge and Atum in this issue, one ominous reminder Gaia brings to light is that while Thor believes he has the strength to bring the Demogorge to heel, he has never faced Atum before, and that is who he will be forced to face if and when they meet again. Not a mindless monster consumed only with the destruction of gods, but a more calculated and powerful entity that can rend a god from the earth just as easily as one would pluck a flower from a garden. But one truth we did not know is that when Atum banished the elder gods, some left willingly. Utgard Loki was chief among them, and his imprisonment wasn't even Gaia's doing, but his own. And he even presented her with a key to set him and the other elder gods free. But why is Gaia letting them loose now after all this time? The answer is actually quite simple, even more simple than what I initially believed. I was of the belief that this was simply just the time, the seasons passing, but it's actually something a little bit deeper than that. And it's because humanity sucks, and they'll only get worse. It's not exactly how she puts it, but it's just how it reads, and honestly, I don't disagree with the sentiment. Humanity does suck. She feels humanity believes that they own the earth that is her, and she takes that personally. So if they wish to not change their ways and consistently destroy the world they claim is theirs to do with as they please, she will bring them the destruction they crave. And while earlier I said that Gaia mentioned that Thor was the lesser of all her children, in fact, I think that was probably meant more not so much as a jab at him, but maybe even so much as just an acknowledgement of the fact that while he may not be as powerful as some of her other children, yes, he wields great power and they wield even greater power. It's actually Thor who, because of the fact that he is not so all-powerful and all-encompassing, he had the opportunity to actually live among humans and be like them and understand that not all humans are actually bad. Yes, humanity on the whole sucks. Human beings are terrible people, just by and large. But on an individual level, there are actually quite a few, maybe even a lot of good people out there. All that aside, Gaia is going to bring humanity the destruction they crave, and Thor takes that personally. But Gaia does let him know there is one person who has the power to undo what she has done, and it is him. So now Thor must do the one thing many may not expect. As we've talked about, Dario Agger, the Minotaur who owns and operates Roxxon, we've talked about how he has been bewitching Thor for some time now, and he has also bought the intellectual property rights to Thor and presumably the rest of Marvel Comics, and he plans to rewrite Thor's story, and is a lot of the reason why Thor's story is changing in so many small ways. And we know soon there will be a new Thor, one owned and operated by Roxxon, and with the Enchantress's help, Dario is about to get his own version of Thor very, very soon. You guessed it, obligatory channel outro time. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider doing so. Clicking that subscribe button and tapping that notification bell ensures that you get more videos just like this one, and you don't miss any of my other content that I drop throughout the week, plus my live streams every Thursday and Saturday. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you click that like button, keep it plus ultra, and sound off in the comments.